its criticism of the White House over the past 4 years.
Those lights that are just shooting out from the Lincoln Memorial along the reflecting pool, it's like almost extensions of Joe Biden's arms embracing America.
Those comments by CNN political analyst Dave Chalian drew backlash, with critics saying he appeared to elevate Biden to the level of a national shrine while still lashing out against President Trump. Observers also noted a similarity in the rhetoric of CNN and Chinese state media.
Exactly. It's not like he's
Everything is against President Trump. It's not even about that. Spiritual warfare.
What we've been through throughout 4 years of the Trump presidency.
The social and economic division that fueled these violent right-wing nationalists started before Trump. And the damage done to America's democratic institutions like the press and the judiciary may outlast Trump's presidency.
Outstretching his arms. And contrast that with that video you just saw of a disgraced president on his way out at his lowest point in his presidency.
Attempts to blame the president, though, for the clashes at the Capitol have been repeatedly dismissed. Meantime, the latest Rasmussen survey shows President Trump's approval rating stands at 51%, as 21% of Americans say the country is now going down the wrong track. The mainstream media and Democrats are continuing to hype up the January 6th protests.
Watch and pray.
But they appear to have conveniently forgotten the scenes of violence that were carried out at the Capitol just 4 years ago by a radical left-wing extremist. One America's Pearson Sharp has more.
This happened 4 years ago, and they're blaming this time around on President Trump.
Have sparked a media outcry
Don't be blinded.
like never before, which is surprising because contrary to what you're hearing on TV and online, this isn't the first time these kinds of protests have played out in our nation's capital. In fact, going back just 4 years, it was extremists and terrorists from the far left who marched on Washington, attacking
One American News, not CNN.
On fire. Following President Trump's inauguration in 2017, gangs of radical Democrats took to the streets in what even CNN described as a coordinated disruption of Donald Trump's inauguration ceremony. Their report continues, saying pepper spray and other control devices were used to control the criminal actors and protect persons and property. Similar riots and violent attacks broke out all across the country. Hundreds were injured, including police, and hundreds more were
They don't
arrested.
talk about that. This happened 4 years ago.
Nothing like the kind of outrage we're seeing today, with conservatives being deplatformed and silenced online by the thousands, all over concerns about
Freedom of speech being taken away.
like the Democrats already did back in 2017 and have continued to do for the last 4 years, escalating.
And white folks fighting because they don't want their rights taken away.
Annexation of land in cities like Portland and Seattle. Independent content creator A64 Films put together a compilation of the media coverage from President Trump's inauguration 4 years ago. The scenes you're about to watch are violent and disturbing, but you must remember they were carried out by radical left-wing Democrat protesters during President Trump's inauguration.
4 years ago.
Not everyone gathered here in Washington today came to celebrate President Trump's inauguration. Protesters lined part of the parade route, and in some parts of the Capitol, there were confrontations with police.
The anger reaching a boiling point in the nation's capital after President Trump took the oath of office. Police in riot gear facing off against the protesters just 6 blocks from the inaugural parade. Unleashing pepper spray, concussion grenades, all to disperse the crowd.
Burning cars and smashed windows. A small group of protesters dressed in black, their faces covered, armed with hammers and bricks. Facing off with thousands of officers on site.
I guess President Trump orchestrated this riot too during his inauguration.
Before the swearing-in ceremony even began, protesters tried to block checkpoint entrances. During President Trump's speech, several demonstrators were escorted out of the area. Several officers injured during the protest today, and more than 100 people arrested. Tonight, thousands of protesters
People,
remain
just
in
search the truth for
downtown
yourself.
DC. Occasionally
It's a
facing
lot
off
more
with
going
police.
on than what you
We will
guys want to
many
see.
people injured, both
Don't be up under a
protesters
strong
and
delusion.
police officers.
And now, with Democrats dismissing the mountains of evidence of actual voting fraud, probably because they had a hand in it, they're sending in 20,000 heavily armed soldiers to protect a man who they're calling the most popular presidential candidate in U.S. history, who supposedly also won the election in a landslide victory with more votes than any president ever. But if Democrats need thousands of troops to occupy the Capitol on Inauguration Day, then it seems possible that their candidate wasn't actually elected by the people.